Welcome to the Andy Noise Experience podcast, Endurance Noise, Random Musings. It's Friday, 9/11/2020. And where are you, Ed?
I am in Longmont, Colorado. So I've gone from the 90s and 100-degree temps to, I don't know, it might be 70 degrees out here, 60, 70 degrees. It's supposed to get down to 40 tonight. So, yeah, a complete change in weather conditions. And
hey, but California changed. California changed. This morning it was 60 degrees in Bakersfield.
Yeah.
I wore a long sleeve shirt for the first time.
Yeah, it's good. So next week's race should be pretty nice. Well, this is the race. It's the American Heroes Run.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually, as we're talking, I'm going to just real slow walk the 1.05 mile loop, which I love because, as we know, that means every 19 loops I get an extra mile. So that's nice. That was nice about last week. It was 1.14. So every couple loops, suddenly, boom, you jump up an extra mile.
Speaking of last week, you've been completely AWOL. What happened last week, Ed? And we couldn't get you online. So what happened?
Last week was an interesting race. So I had planned to do two different races. I planned to do the 72-hour and then stop when they started the 100-mile race, do the 100-mile race, and then finish that and go back and finish up miles in the 72-hour. My goal was to try and get two separate hundreds. And I got through day one, 85 miles, which is good. I was good with that. And then took off that 72-mile bib and put on the bib for the 100. So there's actually people right now, it's kind of the opposite. The 100-mile race here started at 10:11, and the 24-hour race starts at 4:11, and they both end tomorrow at 4:11 p.m. So we've got people that are, I guess, 6 or 7 different people that are already out here doing the 100. So anyway, I had a really bad day on day 2. I mean, really bad. My adrenal fatigue kicked in pretty severely. I was power walking, but I was pushing my pace probably harder than I should have. And I had a really severe episode. And I actually went off course. There's a little area on the course where there's some residential area and there's a sidewalk. I went up on the sidewalk and I just laid down on the sidewalk. It was already dark, and it was the sidewalk was nice and cool, and I just laid on that hard concrete for about a half hour. I didn't want to lay down in the aid station area, just too many people, I just didn't want to have people asking me, hey Ed, what's going on? So I just laid there and just gave my body a chance to reset. And I've had some issues with my adrenal fatigue in the past, and it flared up pretty bad, and I was thinking, I don't know if I want to keep going. I'd already gotten over 100, so I was like, well, I got my 100 in. And my buddy, Justin Turnbow, who had picked me up from the airport, I stayed at his house. He was doing the 100-mile race, and he was having some heat struggles really badly. And so he had told me he was thinking he might go home. So I got up, went around the rest of the loop real slow, got to his little setup where he had his own little aid station next to his car, and he was gone. I talked to people next to him, and they said, oh, he left about a minute or two ago. I was like, oh, okay, well, there's still time. So I was going to go get my phone and give him a call, and I got up to the aid station where my phone was and decided, I don't know, let me try one more loop. And I did, and as you know how these things go, things just started getting better, and of course it cooled down, and I was going real slow. I was probably doing 22-minute miles, but even at that, those add up. And long story short, I stayed in it. I ended up just sticking with the 72-hour, and I won.
I saw. I knew that part, but like I said, you kind of got back, and then we couldn't talk on. We were amazingly, we're at the Phoenix airport. Phoenix is one of the largest cities in the country, and the internet is terrible in that airport, maybe because there's so many people trying to get it and they don't have towers or whatever. So didn't really get to hear what's going on. My thoughts on that, when after you told me, I didn't know that you were actually having a bad race. I was actually thought, hey, maybe he had some common sense. And I was hoping maybe you realized.
You know what? I
Yes?
did have some common sense. I had an epiphany. You know what my epiphany was?
What's that?
Quality is better than quantity for now. There'll be I have plenty of time to get the quantity. You know, I can keep doing hundreds till I'm 70,
Yes.
and at some point I will not be in a situation where I can win them. But you know what?
Yes.
If I can still win races, I got to focus on trying to get the win.
Yes.
So
that's been in the back of my head, and I've spoken to you about that before. And so it's kind of like, you know, when you got a chance to win races, definitely you got to win them, and you got plenty of quantity, and you're going to get to that 200, and you may surpass the English lady eventually, because she is a lot older than you. So as long as you stay upright and you can keep moving forward and not do crazy things. But the other thing I thought about, Ed, too, that I kind of want to talk to you about was that, you know, sticking with one race is a better idea because it allows you to focus, but also then you're not having to put the race directors and your fellow competitors in positions of trying to figure out what you're doing. You know what I mean? It's just, you know, they have a hard enough time. And so when you come to a race director and say, you know, and you're a nice guy and they want to help you, but they're like, okay, I want to do this and I want to do that. It'd be much better. You just come and say, you know, and you're always going to do the longest things. So you're going to come and say, I'm doing the 72 and that's what you're doing. And then the race director doesn't have to, and, you know, you've had issues in the past where you thought something was one way and then it wasn't. Whereas, you know, it's the old thing, keep it simple, you know, keep it simple, you know, stupid, kiss it. And so I think, you know, instead of trying to do these, you know, I mean, even like, and, you know, and I've been begging you, and I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, I've been begging you to try and get 506 days. And so instead of trying to get, you know, 300 finishes in that 6 days, you know, you're talking about doing like a 24 or 48 and a 72, get another 6 day win, because, you know, the 24 hour is really a sprint for you. And especially now that you got a little bit older, you're not going to win as many of those, but the 48 and 72,
hey,
you
now,
keep winning them.
hold on there. No, I hear you though. You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
No,
I mean,
you're right.
well, you're not, you used to rack up 130, 140 miles in these things.
That is true.
And your days of doing that, I don't know. It's just like me. I can't get arrested on a 24, 48, I podium. 72, I don't. You know, so, I mean, it's like there's a sweet spot of, and so I'm just, you know, we're always talking these things and just kind of like completely off the cuff, and just, that's just my thoughts of, you know, I was really glad to hear that you just did the 70, that you did the 72 and didn't try and double dip. And I think for everybody involved, it's a win-win. It's good for you, but it's good for the race. It's good for your fellow competitors, you know, because then they're not wondering what in the world you're doing. And it's also like I've told you many times that you can make people happy, you can make them sad, you can make them angry, but confusing them is the one thing you don't want to do. And, you know, the comedians say that, you know, like when you're up on stage, you don't want to confuse the audience because people don't like to be confused. They don't mind to be mad or, you know, throw things at you or laugh at you. But when they're like, huh? And so, like I was telling, I was talking to Adam. He's going to come up and do the 100 next weekend. And I said to Adam, I explained to him what you were doing last week. And then I said, yeah. And I go, that's kind of the problem when you've got to spend a bunch of time explaining it. And Adam goes, you just told me for a minute or two what Ed was doing. And I still don't understand. And Adam's part of the sport. So like I said, that's just my observation. I'm glad that you did that. And hopefully it'll be something in the future you'll consider continue doing, where instead of trying to do a race within a race and that kind of thing. So, yeah, it just makes it simpler, I think.
I'm going to do that, because you know what? There's nothing quite as sweet as a win.
Oh,
and even though this one was number 52, they don't get old. Let me tell you, they do not get old. And I want to still get as many as I can. If I can hit 62, then I'll be tied with Giannis. He's the only one that has more wins than me in the world. But you know, his wins are a lot different than my wins. But still, I'll take it. But so that's the goal, is to get up there. And so yeah, it was a good.
Good.
gives me something to shoot for. But it ended up being a good race after all. So I'm masked up because they're requiring this whole race. We actually the only way they could get their permit here in Boulder was that we had to be masked up the whole time. The other races that I've been doing, they're like, well, mask up when you come into the aid station, and if you're, less than 6 feet away, make sure you have a mask on. That's the thing rule. But like, I mean, look at right now. There, but yet, I mean, I don't know if it would be so far as a DQ. I don't want to risk it, but yeah, this is the new for this race at least. So it'll be interesting. I know, like Bob Becker. Bob Becker. He's the race director for the Keys 100. He was scheduled to be here, and Mike was telling me he decided, no, I have to wear a mask the whole time because Bob's like 70 or 72. I mean, super fit. He won ARFTA last year, but he decided, no, I'm not gonna deal with that. Well, I don't want to call it nonsense because I understand it's all about safety, but he just didn't want to deal with that. So. Oh
yeah, well, it's definitely an issue. Like myself, I've been wanting to maybe travel to some races, but I don't really want to deal with being on the plane and all that. And I kind of go with like Adam Carolla. It's like I'm not going to be a jerk and ass and not comply, but I'm also going to pick and choose where I go. So like right now, I've been really doing well with DoorDash because what's great, kind of silver lining, is nobody's in the restaurants for the most part. So you grab the food, you drop it off at someone's door. But you know what?
Yeah.
I'm putting the mask on when I walk into this restaurant. And then when I drive to the other people's house, I put the mask on when I walk up to the door, because especially everybody has ring cams now, so they can see that I'm masked up. But what's crazy about it is, like, I went to Denny's yesterday, and it was 105 out. I throw the mask on to go inside where the only people in there are the employees masked up to grab a bag that I'm not even going to go near people. Meanwhile, there's a table of 8 people. They are outside, a table of 8 young people who don't live together, all having lunch and not masked.
No mask.
And you're like, wait, I'm going to be in here for 5.2 seconds and I've got to put this thing on. But I mean, I couldn't do a whole race because it heats up pretty good. And like they've just built a 7-Eleven by my house, so I can do my workouts and then go in there and get a 69-cent Big Gulp. And I have a little mask in my pocket. I throw it on out of just respect. I don't want to be but yeah, but I couldn't imagine wearing that, and you're going to be there. Now you're doing the 24 too, right?
I'm doing 24. So here's the challenge. I mean, it's going to be cool. So that's great. But the challenge is, I think we're up somewhere close to, we're at 5,000 foot elevation. So that already is, and then you put this on top of it. I don't know how much that adds. I'll find out. But so even though it's cooler, I think having this elevation, the mask on, it's going to be a challenge. I'm still going to have to work to get that 100 miles, because that's obviously the goal out here, get the 100. So it'll be.
Now, why did you sign up for the 24 instead of the 100?
Because I was afraid that the 100 wouldn't have as many people doing it. I wanted to have the opportunity to have more competition. And sure enough, there's only 6 or 7 doing the 100 and 19 doing the 24. Because on Ultra signups, if there's less than 10, they won't even post it on the regular. It'll get posted way down below where the DNFs are, and so hey, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. All right, man.
I know him.
You might be coming,
it's Jason.
I don't know if you're
Jason. This is Andy Noyes. We're doing a podcast.
Oh, what's up, Andy?
Yeah, I know Jason from across the years long ago.
On, man?
How you doing?
You, brother.
It's good seeing you out here.
Looking around, man.
All right, so you're doing the 100?
Yeah.
Very good. I'll be doing the 24. So right now we're just talking as we go around. Awesome, man.
Andy, take care, brother.
Hey. All right, we'll see you out there. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So, well, interestingly, on Facebook, Dave Proctor just went out and did 100K, and he masked up the whole entire time. And his watch, some of these new watches do have O2 saturation. Yeah. And it basically doesn't really, which kind of makes sense. It doesn't lower the O2 saturation, but it's kind of the same scenario. It makes sense, like the elevation mask.
You have to breathe hard.
You still got 20%. Your 20% oxygen is 20% oxygen. wherever you are. I mean, if you're at sea level. And so, yeah, if you've got a mask on, see what's really interesting. You're talking about Colorado this year for the first time in the history. They finally broke 4 minutes in the mile in Colorado, the entire state,
Wow.
because, it's so high everywhere
Yeah.
that no one had run. They've been trying to go for sub 4 for a while. And a bunch of the pro teams, some of them were based in Boulder. They found a track at like 4,000 feet, and they finally pulled it off. But the altitude definitely does take some percentages off your time. And then, of course, altitude dries you out a lot more. Though it doesn't look like drying out's going to be a problem there today. It looks pretty cloudy and humid.
So.
And you don't have any – yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, and you don't have any smoke there, huh? Like us.
No, I can't. It's cloudy, but the air looks actually clean.
Yeah.
It doesn't look hazy. So yeah. And that was last week. I talked to a guy when I told him I was going to Colorado. I said, "Oh, that got really bad fires out there. Watch for the air quality." But it seems to be okay. And then Mike was telling me that up in Sacramento that Craig was saying that last week that the smoke was kind of bad, but I guess it's clearing up.
Yeah.
It'd be good for us by the time we get there.
As long as something else doesn't catch on fire.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Good old California.
That's one reason today it's in the 60s because we've got all the smoke cover. But yeah, yesterday I wore a long sleeve shirt for the first time this morning. It was actually chilly. So so you're doing the 24 because there's more people in the race, and the whole ultra sign up thing is always kind of a drag. And how many hours do the 100 people have?
They have I think it must be 28 because they started at 10. That was the other thing too. I would have had to be here at 10 o'clock this morning to start the 100. Well, I wouldn't have to be, but I could come late. But they start at 10, whereas this one starts at I guess they have 30 because that's 6 hours difference. So we have 24 hours. So yeah, they have 30 hours for the 100. And here there's at least one other fella out here, a firefighter who's hoping to get 100 in the 24. So I'll have some competition out here. That'll be good.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And you're feeling fine from last week's 72 hour?
I'm feeling good. Yeah. I broke I had a running streak going. I've had them going here and there, but started a new one, and then my legs were all sewn up when I got back from the 72. It's been a while since I've done a multi-day like that, and so I didn't run at all. I did one little 3-mile power walk, but I feel good. And the great thing is, having the base that I have. Any runner who's in my situation, who's done a number of these 100-mile or multi-day races, you know what to do. Your body knows what to do, and even if you maintain just the minimal amount of fitness, once you get out there on the course, everything, the body knows how to make things work and happen. And so I'm not too worried about getting the 100 in the 24. I mean, I definitely have to be on top of it and focus on my pacing, make sure I don't go out too fast, but should be okay. But we'll see. Give my best shot and see what shakes out. And here we are. This is coming to the finish here. Go ahead.
I was going to say, just because things pop into my head, remember I told you that the 3,100-mile race was supposed to happen in September, and you kind of asked around and stuff? Yeah. Well, it is happening.
What? Because I sent an email to Susitnu, and he said no. What's going on?
Well, I mean, because Yolanda told me that she'd heard something about it.
Yes, good to see you.
Have a good run.
Thank you. So what do they? Because he had said no. He said no, we can't. We're not able to do that. So,
I mean, he was probably working behind the scenes because what they're going to do is they're going to have it in Salzburg, Austria.
Oh,
starting on September 13th.
Huh.
Yeah, they found a place to do it. It's going to be Salzburg, Austria, September 13th. They're only going to have 5 runners. They're going to be very limited.
Yolanda's going out there to do it?
No, I don't think so. I haven't seen. I'm sure it's probably Europeans. It just says their 5 runners will start this edition. I don't see who's doing it, but yeah, they're going to have the race there. And yeah, so
I'm gonna real quick come by and have you say hi to Mike. Hey, Mike, say hi to Andy.
Hey, Andy.
hey, I'll see you next weekend.
He said he'll see you next weekend, Mike. He's busy doing timer stuff here. He said his archway kind of collapsed there.
Oh, yeah, no, but so
right.
yeah, they're going to have that race and have it over in Europe. So kind of one of those interesting kind of things. So that was kind of definitely interesting there.
Wow, Jason's doing real well. Can you see the screen there?
Jason's goal is to do a sub 21.
Yeah, he's already got 28 miles. He just did a 10:37 loop, and the loop is 1.05 miles, so that's a sub 10-minute pace right there. Yeah, he's looking real strong. The guy here got 25. Can you see the screen, Andy?
Yes.
Yeah, and let's see,
Yeah.
Keith. I don't know these other people per se. I may have ran with some of them, but interesting. Well, there we go. So yeah, he's.
Did you
Yeah.
Did you
Go ahead.
read? Did you read the Who's Coming to Ride the Tie? Ride to Walk?
I know Ray Sanchez is. I don't know. No, who else?
Craig wrote us a message yesterday, and Jake Jackson's supposed to be there.
Oh no! Really?
Yep.
All right. Well,
You know, he did help us win a World 24 championship, so.
yeah.
Sorry.
That butthead. So, well, there goes. I was already, with Ray there, as I was already thinking, well, now that's second place for me. Now with Jake there, and that punts me down to third, and who knows who else is going to show up? But that's all right. That's the way it goes,
Yeah. So
that'll be great to see what he can do there on that course.
of course, you still aren't signed up. Technically, I don't see you here.
No, I'm not.
And neither is
because
Jake. So
I'm gonna wait and I already talked to Craig. I'll pay him there at the race just because I've got with these other races I've got to sign up and get my flights all set up ahead of time. So I'm putting out so much money right now. So it's easier to kind of. And he's cool with letting me wait and just pay when I get there. So.
Oh yeah, no. He just wrote me yesterday. In fact, the first thing all he said was Jake, and I thought, oh God.
Yeah, I thought it was Jake Brown. I didn't see a last name there. So.
Yeah. So I was like, oh gosh. Yeah. So looking forward to doing that, and you're gonna be just driving up there the night before, the day before, or what's your plan on getting up to the ride?
Yeah,
ride
well,
to walk?
it starts at noon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So and Martha might kind of come up there with me. We're getting a car from her sister, and so we might, which she lives in Petaluma, so we might go up. And I'm actually even thinking about figuring out how to maybe do the Headlands 100.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
Like right fairly after that, possibly. I don't know. I got to give it some more thought. See how I feel after this weekend. Play it by ear. But yeah. So yeah, I should be. So we might actually leave Friday afternoon, drive up partway. Yeah, get a cheap hotel and stay Friday night, and then head up Saturday morning.
Yeah, because I think Adam and I are going to get up on Saturday morning and drive up there, leave early, get there by 10 so he can set up. And then if we do the 100, we won't get done till 5 or 6 in the evening. So we may end up just staying up there and then coming back the next day. So because if I get to 80 in the first 24, which I have no idea whether I'm going to or not. So then you've kind of modified your plans, probably not getting 200 before Javelina, right?
No, that's
good too.
but I'll still get, close to it. And
Yeah.
Javelina, I'm actually number 450 on the wait list, so I don't see getting it at Javelina unless I think they're still working on kind of a plan. We're gonna spread it out over a couple days, and
Yeah.
so we'll see what happens there. So I may not be at Javelina. That's why I do want to get a Western States qualifier in, just because I don't want to lose my,
Yeah.
how that goes with the lottery. If you don't get a qualifier 1 year, you start all the way over back at one ticket. So I want to keep that going. So I'd like to do that at least once more in my lifetime. And so I think Headlands 100 though might be. I got to look it up. If that's a Western States qualifier, and if they allow this virtual race to, which I don't. I mean, I'm the kind of guy who is. I don't like races being called virtual races when they're not races, they're runs, and I don't like those kinds of things. But because they're giving everybody a tracking device, I'm
Yeah.
actually okay with it, because you're actually out there on the course, and
Yep.
it's between a set dates. So to me, that's legit, I think. And you still have a cutoff time. Plus, even more so, you're self-supported, so you got to work even a little bit harder.
Yeah.
So I'm cool with that. So, but I don't know if that is a Western States qualifier, then that might be the one that I focus on and not worry about having it, because I think usually the end of October is the last weekend you can qualify for states, unless they. I mean, I haven't heard. Have you seen? Have they made any modification, like saying, well, we'll let you use last year's qualifiers, or they got to do
Oh yeah,
something, because
I thought you kind of knew.
no.
There's rules so that you can. I'm pretty sure you get a rollover. I can look it up for you,
Okay.
but
Okay.
yeah, and
Well then,
or you could go, because Adam is actually signed up for Rio del Lago.
no, I'll pass. I've done that race twice, I think. Once for sure, but I think twice. That's a butt kicker of a race. I don't want to get beat up that much on a 100-mile trail race. I like headlands, even though it's a lot of
That's
game.
hard.
It
Yeah.
is, but it's all right there at sea level. It's the 24-mile loops, and yeah, it's up and down quite a bit, but the trails are not gnarly, and it's beautiful scenery around you, and the temperature is good. So if I had a choice between the two, Del Lago and Headlands 100, even though there's a whole lot more climb in Headlands, I'd pick Headlands.
I don't think Headland. I don't think Headland. Well, I'm not sure. I never thought Headlands was a Western State. Maybe it was, but
It maybe isn't. I maybe isn't. I was kind of in my mind thinking it might be, but then again, I should, it probably isn't. So yeah, that's probably a good point.
really, you think Rio del Lago is a tough one, huh?
Well, it is for me. Well, the times I've done it, it beat me up pretty bad. Now, of course, one of the times I did it, it was 30 some hundreds into my 41 for the year, so my body was pretty beat up. And it seems like the other time that I did it, something else was going on. So I just, I've got the runner's amnesia where I forget about a lot of races, but I just remembered that being one that was pretty challenging to me. And in fact, I remember one year I got so lost out there, I got all turned around. And by the time I finally figured out what I was doing and got back on track, I actually missed the cutoff. And so I got credit for 100K because they had that as an option.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I remember, so that's kind of a negative thing that sits in my mind, just a memory. So
Yeah, because I've gone up there with a couple newbies, and for me it's like a pretty runnable course. And I helped a couple people get their first hundreds there, and it's not too bad, of course. The problem with it is it's so dark, because by that time of year we only got like 9 hours of light, so you're running kind of like how across the years is. You're running in the dark so much of the race, and that's why I tell people, like, yeah, you don't have to. So yeah, anyway, so I pulled up the Western States, because this might be of interest to other people, but due to cancellation, the entry process for 2021's fall is 2020 entrants get into the 21 race or have refunded entry. Waitlisters are back on the wait list. 2020 entrants and waitlisters who accept to enter will not be required to run another qualifier. So each lottery qualifying race between November 19th, November of 2019 and November of 2021. So you've run something then.
Yes, November 2019 to. I don't know because.
Did you do San Diego?
No.
Isn't San Diego a qualifier? Or
Yeah, but
Javelina last year?
yeah, but they didn't hold it in June. So you tell me the dates again. November
No,
2019.
November 2019. They've extended it out, so it's a 2-year period.
Yeah, but here's the problem. November of 2019 until March of 2019, or until March of 2020, there are races. But San Diego is June of 2020, which didn't happen this year.
No, it's 2019 to 2021. So didn't you run some qualifier between the fall of 2019 and the fall of this year?
No.
Oh, I guess that's the same.
Yeah, because the only races. I mean, that's not any different. That's the what it normally.
No,
okay.
it is different. It's
Until
2 years.
Oh, I see. Okay, I got it.
There is no lottery this year. There's no lottery this year.
Okay, good. So I have time until 2021.
Yeah. Oh,
all right.
yeah.
Okay,
You got till all next year.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm brain freezing to it. Yeah, you have a whole year.
Well, that's like because it makes sense. No one knew it was going to get into states for 2021. Just like no one knew it was going to get into Badwater for. Well, I mean they could. See, Badwater automatically, whoever qualified or whoever got in this year, they have an automatic entry in for next year. Now, there are going to be some people who may decide not to do it, and so that's going to give some openings. But if people are thinking about getting into Badwater for 2021 that weren't in it for 2020, there's only going to be a few openings left. So that's probably States is the same way. It's just going to be the same list, just hold over for this next year. So okay, good. So that means I can keep my lottery going by doing one. Yeah, okay, that works. Okay.
Yeah. Well, you know what it is like if you're a kind of new, which has always been a problem with ultra running, especially trails. If you're a new runner, you're not getting into any of the big named races till 2022 at the 2022 at the earliest. Because next year, Western's full, Badwater's full, Hard Rock's full. All these races are full because they rolled over. And so, boy, I'll tell you, I think it's going to really hurt the ultra running scene because people are going to go, and that's always been my big gripe with the ultra world, that we have these races that we hold so big, iconic, like that you must do's that people like, because getting in the Western now is almost impossible. And the problem is you've got to be, if you're a newbie, you go out and have to go run 100K right off the bat just so you can start collecting tickets. And then if you actually get in, then you're really in trouble because, I've been running for 6 months. And even if you're a decent athlete, and then of course, it's going to be interesting because definitely next year, if this passes, no one's getting in any of those iconic races. That's for sure. So that's why, and so are you going to be going to the fair then? 3 days at the fair?
I might be. I might go do the 3 days because that's kind of my sweet spot is the 48, the 70, the multi-day, 48, 72. 6 day is just too much time out of my schedule. I still need to work. So I can't do the 6 day. I'd love to, but it'll also beat me up a lot because I want to do races all of October. But I can do a 2 day or a 3 day and have a pretty good chance of winning the race and still be able to recover quick enough to do one the next weekend. So yeah, I'm looking at that. So that's a possibility for sure.
One of the things that kind of sucks about the 72 hour is it's not really an officially recognized event.
No.
Which is weird. They were talking about that. Actually.
Yeah, you can't set any age records or anything there, even though, Joe Fiji's has the unofficial record for 72. But again, it's unofficial, which, I don't understand how arbitrarily. I understand 24 for sure, but how 48 is good and 6 day is good, but 72 hours isn't.
Historic. It's just more like a historical thing. Maybe the 72. What's interesting, I just pulled it up and the prices are interesting. The 24 hour is $200.
Yeah.
the 48 is 250, and the 72 is just 300. So it's like you get good bang for your buck, and then of course the 60 is 600. So the 72, and here's another reason why you're going to probably want to run the 72 is you do know who's running in the 48.
No. Bob
Camille
Hearn?
Herron. Camille Herron.
Geez. Okay.
And Bob
Yeah.
Hearn. And Bob.
Ah.
Bob's going.
Okay.
Because
So, yeah.
the Spartathlon got canceled.
Oh, wow.
So Bob and Camille are running the 48. So that's going to be pretty tough because Bob wants to go. He's his last chance to go after Joe Fegis's records because they're a few years younger than us.
Yeah.
And so he'll be his last 55 race. So that was kind of interesting. So it'll definitely. And so last week you did like 210 miles.
I did well, okay, now don't be shorting me here, Andy. I did.
I don't know it.
I did
I
211.81.
I've never seen official.
Me.
I've never seen official results from the race. In
Yeah.
fact, I didn't hear anything about the race. You disappeared.
I know.
You win a race, and that's the thing. Ed, when you win a race, you're
That's where I
supposed
need to
like,
be.
yeah,
Not hide under a rock.
yeah, because I don't know too many big sponsors going to be like, hey, yeah. So when you win a race, Ed, disappear. Do a Greta Garbo. Do a Greta Garbo. But what's interesting I want to talk to you too about was the race for the ages was won by a guy that's our age, 57.
Oh, wow.
And he did 211 miles around, about basically what you did in your race. Of course, he had 57 hours. So that was that race there. Only like 2 or 3.
He did 211 miles in 57 hours.
Yeah, because he's 57 years old.
Good for him. Wow.
Yeah.
It took me for my 211. I didn't take the full 72, but I took 69 hours to do it. So
yeah,
man, he was moving.
Yeah. Well, there's always somebody. A couple guys go there and they really have great races and crush it. Only 3 guys got over 200. Brad Compton got over 200.
That's what Mike was telling me because he was just there timing it. So he was telling me about that. But yeah,
it was a very small field. They only had maybe 60 or so people, which I got to definitely go back there. So the good thing is the weather's good there. The altitude's going to be a little bit of an issue, and then you got to wear that bandana thing, I guess. And you're starting then in a little bit then, right?
Yeah, I guess in about a half hour maybe or.
Okay, well, I should let you go so you can get organized, whatever organizing is. And
well, this is my station, I just my travel bag and my water bottles and there's everything now with aid stations is individually, packaged and
which I love.
So, yeah. Which is it's nice because you can grab and go and eat on the go.
Yeah.
So So
there's
be interesting.
There's definitely things with COVID that I've liked, like that whole aid station thing. But there's also like the restaurant delivery now. The restaurants are all putting it in a bag, completely sealed up, so I can't get in it or whatever, which I love because I don't get blamed. Yeah. And also because I always tell people like, hey, I'm like the UPS driver. Whatever you order from Amazon, it's between you and Amazon. It's not my fault if you ordered, a watch and socks are in the bag.
Yeah.
Same thing like
what?
McDonald's. Yeah.
It's funny. I have a buddy, Jim Cresson. He's an ultra runner, and actually, I live in Murrieta. He lives in Rancho Bernardo, which is halfway between Murrieta and San Diego, and I prefer to fly out of San Diego. So he's offered to, hey, Ed, come to my place, park at my place, and I'll take you to the airport, which saves me because otherwise I had to always go and pay for parking and take the shuttle. And if I'm running behind, it's a pain in the butt. But anyway, so he's been an Uber driver for years, and then he went to Uber Eats. He's like, I'm never going back to driving people.
No.
He said, Ed, this is what's crazy. So I will drive someone in my car. Their life is in my hands, basically, and I'll drop them off, and I may or may not get a tip. I'll deliver people food, and they give me these huge tips just for bringing food to them. He's like, it doesn't make sense, but he's like, I'll do it.
I went out this morning and drove 2 hours, made $70.
Yeah.
And I usually make $50-$60 a day doing, and I only work from like 9 in the morning till noon at most. But I did Lyft driving at first, and it was like, okay, because I thought, I don't want to do the delivery thing. But the nice thing about the delivery is the people who work at restaurants are generally nice and friendly because they hire friendly, nice people to work at restaurants. And then you're bringing people food, so they're happy. Yeah. And I'm fast because I only take the good orders. So it's a win-win. Everybody's happy. Whereas when I was Lyft driving, it was okay. But then what happened with Lyft, especially, is we had to do these insurance rides. And at first they were okay because I was driving recovering drug addicts to get their methadone.
Wow.
Now, you'd think that would be bad, but I don't mind those guys. I was in the record business forever. And those guys were happy to see you. So they'd be standing on the street corner because they wanted to go get their methadone. So you would pull up to their house and they would dive into the car. You drop them off. And then when you went to go pick them up, they wanted to go back and do what they were going to do. And so at first when we were doing insurance rides, they weren't too bad. It was easy money. Like if you were having a slow day, you would just drive by one of the clinics and it was like a fishing hole. But then what happened was we started getting these professional patients, guys bigger than me with walkers and all this crap, and they don't have the app. So one, you don't know exactly where they are. You'd be like KMC at the hospital. You couldn't see them on the app, but also since they didn't have the app, they couldn't tip you. So you're getting $5 to pick up some big old guy with a walker and all this, and it's just. And I said, I got out of that business. Yeah. And then, of course, I didn't work nights because I didn't want to deal with the drunks and stuff. But, yeah, the door dashing, what I basically do door dashing now is it's my race money. Whatever money I make on that goes towards my racing and my podcasting. And then I don't feel guilty about lately I haven't been going to races, but will be this coming weekend. So it sounds be good. So
did I tell you, I think I may have started to mention it to you, but last week, because it was a holiday weekend, I was traveling on Monday.
Yeah.
They'd overbooked. And so they said, if anybody wants to volunteer to give up their seat. So I did that in Dallas and I got a $350 American Airlines voucher. And then I flew from Dallas to, and then waiting there at Dallas for my next flight, they offered again, if anybody wants to give up their flight, we'll give them a voucher. And I got a $275 voucher. So I got over $600 in towards American Airlines. And I was looking at flights to Hawaii. They're like $300 a piece. So Martha and I, for the first time, we're going to go to Hawaii just because I got, in one day.
Nice.
And I got home 7 hours later than I would have, but geez, $600 and seven. There goes Jason. Nice work, my friend. You're killing it.
That's you were making $90 an hour.
Yeah, just for sitting there doing nothing.
Yeah. Taking a nap and hopefully not. Yeah, no. In fact, it's kind of funny. Ed, Hawaii is the only state I have not visited. I've been to every other state. Someday I got to get to Hawaii, I guess. But I don't like humidity, and I don't like laying on a beach, and I don't like tourists. So Hawaii sounds like I'm sure.
My friend Wyatt Hockmeyer, who was the race director of last week's race, he's putting on kind of a little kind of a clinic.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah,
and it's for free. And it's going to be in December, so I'm thinking that that might be, or I could look into. I know Hurt is probably really difficult to get into. I know the race structures there, and if there's any way I could probably get into it without them pushing people out, that's in January.
Yeah,
I might take a look at that beforehand or contact them just to see if there's. What's going on with that. But that would be the one time I would go to Hawaii.
It's canceled.
Oh,
it's canceled.
Okay. All right. Well, so
but what's interesting is last year I was kind of I had points and stuff, and I kind of had this thing because Ann Trayson was trying to do an ultra in every state plus the provinces of Canada. And so I got about 10 states, and I was looking about going to Hawaii because in December there were some 24-hour kind of races and stuff. And I almost pulled the trigger because I could get a good ticket for fairly cheap. So, but yeah, the Hurt, they canceled it. So, and Tahoe 200 ended up being good that she canceled it because of COVID, because of the fires. It would have gotten canceled anyways. So it was a good, it kind of takes the sting out of stuff.
I heard, I don't know, because I haven't really been on social media, but I heard she got some flack from the cancellation and.
Oh yeah, I mean it's a no-win situation. I feel these race directors. I mean they got it. It's just it is what it is, and it's a difficult decision for them. But ultimately they got to follow the rules and regulations, and especially if you're doing it like you're at a public facility today, you got to wear that thing the entire time. Thankfully,
Yeah.
our race next week is on a private property. And I mean, we talked about this before, I think the future of ultras is going to be on private property and trail racing. Like you have the Broken Arrow, which is at the Olympic Village up there in, Squaw Valley. And that's a perfect venue. You can have these races because using public lands, you've got to follow the rules, which is partly, but also we've talked about it before too, is you're using public lands for profit, and it's not fair to the people who want to go use the public lands. And so I think the era of, these epic trail races, kind of like the Western States and things like that, is going to be going to a close because, especially with all this COVID, because getting all the permitting and doing all this stuff is just way too difficult. And so it sounds good news. And I'll let you go because I do want you to just get a little bit of time before you start your race, because I guess you'll be starting in about 30 minutes. It's 2:30 here.
I guess so. Yeah. So 4:11 here is where we start. So all right, great.
Okay.
And then I'll check back with you probably sometime Sunday. Because my race
so weird.
ends tomorrow afternoon. So yeah.
And
anyway.
and you're gonna fly out Sunday?
I'm flying out Sunday around noon. So I'll see if I can bum a ride. We're about an hour from Denver, so I Ubered it over, or I did a Lyft over here. But if I can get a ride out and maybe even find someone's couch I can crash on Saturday night, and then head out Sunday. But I'll be in touch. Yeah, and then you got the link for the live streaming, right? So and
I'll do some updates.
Mike's the timer, so it's going to be top notch.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, I love I go to his races, and it's always nice just to have it, and just wish other places would have that kind of timing system. So, okay, well, good luck. Hopefully everything goes well. Run smart. And remember, you are up high a bit, so keep that in the back of your head, because you and altitude.
I'm going to go out real easy and try and run it smart and keep a good, decent pace that I can maintain. So that's the goal.
I still remember doing the San Diego 100 one year, and me and
Gene Ho
way in the back, and all of a sudden we hear jingling, and we're like mile 7 or 8, and we're like, why is the Jester here? And they're like, because he can't run at altitude at all. You ended up doing
But I've gotten better. I've gotten actually a lot better. So
but I just remember, like, this was the last person I expected to see, except if I happened to finish, he'd be waiting for me.
But I did okay there. I started.
You recovered well.
I finished it within plenty of time. But
and I missed the cutoff.
I've DNF'd there twice, but I've also had 5 finishes there. So,
nice.
5-2 ratio. That's not too bad. All right, buddy. Have a good weekend. I'll check with you on Sunday.
Yeah, you too there. Bye there.
Okay. All right. Bye.